Ahead on 12 News, coming soon, a new image for a small town. The new look that could be coming to Osseo. Then, a Brooklyn Park woman's success story, how she brought life to something that hasn't been open in more than 10 years. But first, challenging times for a teacher's family and a student's heartwarming response.
I went home to my parents and I told them, and I was like, we have to do something.
12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Slatton.
And I'm Alexandra Renslow. We begin with the story of an area teacher facing personal hardship and a student who is stepping up to help. It's a story that's unfolding for Wayzata Central Middle School teacher and high school baseball coach Bobby DeWitt. And it's one his student hopes the community will see and rally support.
Push yourself to be even more specific.
At Wayzata Central Middle School, 7th grade history teacher and varsity baseball coach Bobby DeWitt challenges his students.
Think about multiple perspectives.
To think about history in different ways.
Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Think about what it would be like for that person.
From where this 38-year-old stands, his own perspective has changed. A husband and father of 2-year-old twin boys, Bobby is now dealing with a brain cancer diagnosis in the family.
We had noticed his balance and coordination were getting worse.
When an MRI found 2-year-old William had a mass on his brain last summer, the DeWitt family found themselves catapulted into a blur of hospitals and specialists. First a surgery for William, then 4 months of chemotherapy. Now William and Mom, who had to quit her job, are in Chicago for 6 weeks of a specialized radiation treatment.
I would rather be in Chicago right now, but I also know that for my family, it's best for me to be here.
In the classroom, Bobby keeps teaching, not wanting to burden his students with his family's story. But late last year, after Bobby had missed a few days, 7th graders asked questions.
Some students had said, well, where were you? And I just said to myself, I'm not gonna lie. And I said, I was in the hospital. And then, are you okay? I said, well, it wasn't for me, it was for my son. And then of course, I know 7th graders, well, what's wrong with your son? And I said, he has brain cancer. And it was just quiet.
Student Sophia Fries couldn't stay quiet.
I went home to my parents and I told them, and I was like, we have to do something.
With the help of her parents, the 12-year-old went to work on fundraising ideas for her teacher.
This is William's name, and then in parentheses it says I am, and it says power.
She's selling wristbands now and organizing an event in Plymouth called Night Out for William, rallying this movie theater and area businesses to donate a portion of their sales on February 24th.
I know when people are going through struggles, you don't just sit down and say, okay, whatever. You help them.
A sense of perspective beyond her years, and now a grateful teacher who couldn't be prouder.
She's learned a lesson that many of us as adults have not yet learned, that there are more important things going on in this world than just yourself and your own life.
With the help of a family friend, Sophia is also making arrangements to fly her teacher and his other 2-year-old son down to Chicago to visit William during his treatment. Meantime, on February 24th, 20% of all evening movie ticket sales at Plymouth Grand 15 Theater will go to the DeWitt family for the Night Out for William.
A new report shows the housing market is returning to more solid ground. The report by the Minneapolis Area Association of Realtors shows foreclosures fell to near normal levels. And while there were fewer sales, median home prices rose to their highest level in 7 years. However, in Plymouth, the median sale price stayed almost exactly the same as 2013. It was a similar story down in Golden Valley, which also saw only a slight gain. In Brooklyn Park, though, the median price rose nearly 5%.
The city of Osseo is in midst of a branding reboot. The city is thinking about a new logo with several designs under consideration. You'll notice the orange and black, the same colors used by Osseo High School. The city's mayor says that's a good thing by tying the school and the city together. You'll also notice the water tower included in some of the sketches. There was some disagreement on whether to include it since the water tower may come down. But Councilmember Mark Schultz felt it's a good thing, saying it's a significant part of Osseo history. Alina Lakes Company is designing the city's logo. The city's current Discover Osseo logo has been used since 2007.
A brand new basketball gym in Maple Grove is almost ready to host its first major event. Crews today put some of the finishing touches on the $16 million Maple Grove Community Gym. It's connected to Maple Grove Junior High and will serve as the home of the Osseo Maple Grove Basketball Association. The gym will hold 18 practices a night throughout the week and serve more than 2,000 kids in grades 1 through 12.
It's given us an opportunity to run programs in the winter. We used to only run our 3rd and 4th grade program in the fall, which isn't really basketball season. It interferes with football and soccer, and it's giving an opportunity for those kids to play all winter.
The gym's first event is this Monday when the Minnesota Timberwolves host a 5th through 8th grade boys basketball tournament. It's been closed for more than 10 years, but now a Brooklyn Park neighborhood's outdoor ice rink is back in business.
As Sonia Goins shows us, a local resident was behind the push to get the rink reopened.
This is Minnesota. There's snow, there's ice, and we want to take advantage of it.
Mother Nature has been kind to Monroe Park.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
The neighborhood park is postcard perfect. That's why Kimberly Carpenter can't believe the skating rink hasn't been used in 12 years.
I was really shocked to learn from my neighbors and from staff at Monroe that the ice rink used to be here and that it disappeared.
Kimberly's home is not too far from the park.
I used to ice skate as a young child, and I wanted to be able to share that experience with my own children.
She was so passionate about getting the park reopened, she launched a campaign called Sign the Skate.
All these signatures that you see on the skate are representative of everyone that was involved in bringing the skate rink back to the community.
Kimberly rallied the troops. She teamed up with Monroe Elementary School, local residents, and park officials.
They shared that part of the reason why they bought their house was because there was an ice rink just outside their back door.
So what you see right now is as good of outdoor ice conditions as you're probably going to see all year long.
The request for the return of the ice skating rink got the thumbs up.
Initiatives like Kimberly just did with Monroe Elementary allows you to make change in your neighborhood.
Outdoor rinks like Monroe have been on the decline for the past 15 years. Park officials hope the reopening will encourage more people to lace up their skates.
I hope that the kids build a lot of supportive relationships and make new friends, and I hope that they are exercising and having fun.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
And a grand reopening will be held Saturday from noon until 2. There will be free skates and hot chocolate for everyone.
2 World War II veterans received a special surprise on Wednesday night. The Golden Valley VFW honored 90-year-old Ray Hokinson and 95-year-old Ray Robinson. Each received a handmade quilt. Barbara Kennelly came up with the idea. She's the daughter of a veteran, the wife of a veteran, and the mother of 2 vets.
I am the daughter of a 3-war veteran who was not acknowledged for his service. Then I'm seeing a lot of other people who are being ignored, and I just decided that I wanted to give them recognition and thank you for that.
Not many of us are left. Not many of us are left. And we always agree to each other that way when we leave each other. Says, take care of yourself, man. It's only a few of us left.
That's right. The Golden Valley VFW Post hopes to recognize each vet with a quilt starting with the heroes from World War II. So good for Barbara for starting that initiative. Absolutely. Coming up, an almost impossible feat, a perfect score on the ACT.
A Robbinsdale Cooper student did it, and you will meet him coming up next. And then a little bit later in sports, the Maple Grove girls basketball team is getting used to a new home court.
But first, with the sun, a busy time for the car wash. The high temperature expected to reach 30 again on Friday.
If you are looking for a way to commemorate Martin Luther King Day, Golden Valley has you covered this weekend. Calvary Lutheran Church will host Golden Valley MLK Day of Service on Sunday from 2 to 4. People are invited to come and share their own authentic stories with others while enjoying some sweet potato pie. Event organizers will also give out 86 pies to individuals and service groups in celebration of overcoming various challenges. Well, the odds seem almost impossible.
They do. Less than 0.1% of all students who take the ACT test get a perfect score. But a student from Robbinsdale Cooper High School did it. Meet today's standout student, Min Young Choi.
Min is, he's a sophisticated mathematical thinker. He's patient, he's clever.
Clever is one way to describe Min Young Choi.
He works hard. He sort of has all the elements you need to be a clever student.
In calculus class, he's a problem solver.
I sort of just enjoy solving a problem and just having like a set answer. You end up going through the process and finding the correct answer.
But this past December, Min earned an achievement that the National ACT Office calls significant and rare.
And you probably never think somebody's going to ace it.
Min scored a 36 on the ACT, a perfect score.
I was actually pretty surprised. I was anticipating somewhere in the lower 30s, actually.
It was Min's first time taking the test, and get this, he's just 16 and in 10th grade.
I was very excited to hear that we had a sophomore receive a 36 on the ACT. It's unheard of to have a student get a 36, but to be a sophomore in December of your sophomore year is incredible.
Min says he did take a few practice tests, but more than anything,
First, I paid attention in the classes I had in the school, which really helped.
Something he doesn't plan to stop.
Class is a little underappreciated sometimes, and I think it's a lot more important than people think.
For Min, his perfect score only sets the bar even higher.
Once I get a 36, I sort of need to live up to it too, and not just have a 36 and everything else just goes down. I want to keep up my grades.
Since Min is only a sophomore, he hasn't decided on a college yet, but he is thinking about getting into the field of oncology someday. So Alex, as you can see, very gracious, but
Yes.
I think he takes his grades pretty seriously.
Yes, and good lesson. Pay attention in class.
There you go. You never know what it'll get you.
That's exactly right.
Still ahead, why winter is the best time for taking pictures.
But first, Terry Tuma drops a line for his weekly ice fishing tip. John Jacobson is in next with sports.
John's here now with sports, and busted pipes really putting a kink in the system over in Maple Grove.
Yeah, they got to scramble now for basketball practices and games. Looks like for the rest of the winter. The home schedule is taking on a new look for the Maple Grove girls and boys basketball teams. Water damage from a frozen pipe means shifting games away from Maple Grove High School. Crimson girls had practice at their new home gym at Osseo Junior High Wednesday. They host Boundsview Thursday night in this gym. It's an adjustment, but they're making the most of it.
I mean, it'll take some getting used to, but we're definitely facing adversity, and I think in the end it will for sure make us stronger, especially when we get around to playoff time and section time. I think they brought in some banners here we can hang off a little bit, make it a little more like the Grove, but it's a lot of orange.
There's certain things that are just out of our control, and that this happened, and we're trying to make the best of it. It's not a perfect situation, but you know, we've got a gym floor, we've got hoops, we've got a roof over our head, and we're going to play basketball. I think this was the #1 one because as far as the bleacher situation goes, you know, our junior highs don't necessarily have enough bleachers to host you know, home games. We didn't really want to go outside the district if we could avoid it. You couldn't really play at Osseo Senior Park Center because they have their own games to worry about. So this became sort of the most viable option.
Well, the current players weren't born yet. Crimson coach Mark Cook remembers when Osseo Junior High was the site for many classic playoff girls and boys games in the 1980s and early 90s. It was the site of the Region 5 AA tournament at the time. Most of the Crimson current players have at least played some on this court.
Well, actually all of us, because this is a popular spot for traveling basketball to practice, and then I know this summer I had almost all of my AAU practices here, so I think all of us have had some fair time here.
The Crimson have changed the rest of their games to Osseo Junior, with a couple of them moved to opponents' courts, including Tuesday against Champlain Park. Brooklyn Center High School is also facing scheduling issues because of a broken pipe. Maple Grove's gymnastics team is putting together a pretty solid season. The Crimson have won all 5 of their conference dual meets so far, and their scores have been steadily improving. They had a season best 135.8 last weekend at the Clemenson Invite at Princeton.
Yeah, it was actually probably one of our best this year. Everyone, even though we didn't have some of our better teammates, we still pulled it together and did really well.
We are just getting better by the day, and we're just in here working hard and gonna get better as we keep working.
Every meet, our
scores are going up and our skills are getting better and better and the girls are getting stronger and stronger. So I'm excited to see how we finish out the season.
Well, Champlin Park is clearly the team to beat in Section 5AA. The Crimson hope to get a few state qualifiers this season. Tonight, Thursday, they host district rival Park Center in what should be a good meet.
Yeah, I'm expecting that to be a great meet. Park Center has improved very much over the years, and they beat us last year, but we're ready to come out and give them a run for their money.
Crimson Gymnastics meets aren't affected by the damage to the floor in the main gym since they use a different gym space at Maple Grove High School. Making sure your fishing rods are ready to go before you leave for the lake is important. Terry Tuma explains why in his weekly Channel 12 ice fishing tip.
I was in Wisconsin doing an ice fishing seminar, and I asked the anglers how many rods they had. And one angler raised his hand. Well, several of them raised their hands, but one especially said he's got 10 rods. And I told him you buy 2 more and you have a dozen. Anyway, we got sort of a little chuckle out of that. But really, the reason I'm talking about this, and we're going to Lake of the Woods, and we need, as far as anglers, you know, all of us have 4, 6, 8 rods for sure, is pre-rig them, you know, if in a cabin or if you're at home, and pre-rig them accordingly to what you anticipate the bite to be and the mood of the fish. For instance, for real aggressive fish, what I've done here, or I shouldn't say real aggressive, but even a neutral fish, you're jigging shad wraps. I'm going to do some experimenting with a snap wrap up Lake of the Woods, and then for your sort of your neutral fish, if you want to call it that, is vertical jigging spoons. And these also working extremely well for that mood of these fish. And then for more of that tough bite, but we should almost classify the tough bite into 2 sections. One is using your jig, short shank or long shank, depending on the bait itself. If it's going to be salted frozen shanks, which we're going to be using, we want a long shank. Short shank for minnow heads only. And then, of course, for the second hole, or for definitely a tough bite, death sticking with a bobber system, as we talked about with the split shot replacement. Give it a try. Be prepared. Pre-plan your trip. You're going to be very successful.
Thanks, Terry, and that's it for sports.
All right, thanks, John. We'll be right back. And finally, some of the coolest artwork around, and you'll find it right here in Brooklyn Park.
Take a look at this exhibit at North Hennepin Community College. It's the work of John Greger, who captured the vastness of Lake Superior in an exhibit called The Eternal Lake. Greger lives in 2 harbors and says winter is the best season for taking pictures. That's because the sun angle is lower, making photos look more 3-dimensional. You also don't have to worry about extreme shadows like you do during the summer. The External Lake exhibit is on display at North Hennepin through the end of the month.
Stunning
pictures.
Yeah, if you can't get up there, then you might as well go over to
Enjoy
North Hennepin.
that.
That's right.
That's all the time we have for now, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4. Community Corner is coming up next.